First Vice Chair, Daniel Silver. And Chairman Dorthy Moon.
We support Dorthy. Don't you dare come after her.
They trying to cancel. They trying to cancel. I got hey, they say that they gon' cancel me. Hey, they said they gon' cancel me. Hey, people on both sides trying to cancel me. Y'all told a bunch of lies, but it ain't damaged me. They gotta come at me at groups cause they can't handle me. I wear my MAGA hat anywhere. Who put their hands on me? I probably never get a Grammy cause I'm too real. I just speak the truth and I don't care about how you feel. Radio stop playing my music, I'm in the booth still. The president retweeted my song, it's over 2 mil. Who switches their belief when they got something to gain? I'ma try to say the truth without exposing the names. Conservatives kneeling to the LGBT is lame. I never apologize for nothing. That's why we ain't the same.
So many people have filled up this half room, they've opened up the other half now. It's great to see so many people here supporting Dorthy Moon.
No, recording's not going to be allowed.
Damond is elected to serve on the state Central Committee as the Republican, or as this National Committee man. Sorry, a lot of committee. But you have to live in Idaho to represent Idaho. And that's the whole thing that started this whole thing, is whether or not he still lives in Idaho. Certain people just wanted an investigation, a legal investigation into whether or not he was still lives in the state or not, or if they're just using, you know, some rental contract as an excuse to still serve on the body. This isn't about Damond Watkins. This is not about Trent Clark. It's not about anything other than the fact that 61 members of the State Central Committee issued a petition to the state chairman asking for a special meeting. It doesn't matter what the subject of that meeting was. It doesn't matter the reasoning for wanting that special meeting. They wanted a special meeting, and 61 members got together and said, we want the meeting. She, as chairman, has to abide by that petition and call a meeting. And she did. She actually called it for December 3rd, which was Saturday. And everyone was like, no, you can't do that. It's too egregious to make people travel and all this. So she said, fine, then we'll just do it during the State Central Committee winter meeting. And then it was just very ironic that they turned around and held a judicial committee hearing the same day that was too hard for the to have the other meeting.
I've received a lot of correspondence from Mr. Clark, and very little of it has ever been civil. That's first and foremost, okay? If I was to understand all of his emails to be complaints, this would be a very, very long day and a long week and a long year, because we would be in here revealing all of his complaints.
Mr. Chairman.
This is my time, excuse me.
Sorry, point of order. Does this relate to the subject that we're here for?
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on, please. So, in the same, please be quiet. In the spirit of transparency and allowing both sides, if the chairwoman is trying to make an assertion that she did not believe this was an official complaint, then she has the opportunity to help understand why she thinks that. Now that is a section for rebuttal after, and the committee can ask questions. So the nature of his other complaints, it allows her the opportunity, assuming I'm not forwarding him out, to explain why you feel this was not a complaint or an official.
I hope I'm not is no indication anywhere in the subject line. The word complaint does not appear anywhere on this email, and you all have it. You all have it. Pull it up. August 11th, 7:01 p.m. I do not see the word complaint anywhere. Oh my goodness. Here's the other complaint. Copies of correspondence to National Committee Man, second request, right here on the top of this supposed second complaint. You know, by golly, I don't see the word complaint in here anywhere. So how in the world would I think that this is a complaint? I'll continue on. I'm trying to take all kinds of notes here. There's no indication in any of the subject lines that Mr. Clark intended this email to be understood as a complaint. If Mr. Cravens understood Mr. Clark's email as the basis of his appeal, where does Mr. Cravens acknowledge that? How come Mr. Cravens didn't say the basis of my appeal is because of what Mr. Clark had to just requested in these supposed complaints? We're missing some steps here if you can do that. I don't disagree that Mr. Silver circulated the email in his packet, so you have them. But at the same time, I received Mr. Clark's correspondence. There was no indication that this email or emails constituted a complaint. That's why when I came in here today, I was shocked to find out that this is now part of this hearing. This just kind of popped up out of nowhere. You know what? I've got a whole stack of emails here. We can make all kinds of complaints with these emails.
Point of order. For clarification.
Time.
I pause your time. Everybody received these all the way back in September and October. There is nothing in this that has been sprung upon anybody. Okay? I just want to make sure that that is clear. Go ahead.
But Chairman, it has been sprung upon me because now these are considered complaints and they are not identified as complaints and never have been identified as complaints. That is a big difference. Months later, these are now all of a sudden complaints. But that's okay. We'll move on. I'll move on. But I do not recognize these as complaints. There is a simple rule in our system of law. Form matches substance. Our state rules may not delineate what constitutes a complaint, other than that it be written and submitted to the chair. Again, I don't see complaint on either one of these. And I'll share these with all of you later. But if Mr. Clark intended this to be understood as a complaint, there is no good reason why the form of his submission gave no indication. In the subject line, in its opening preamble, in its concluding statement, that it was a formal complaint. And you know it doesn't have complaint on it. I have archived copies of complaints submitted by Mr. Clark under my predecessor in the office. They are clearly marked as complaints. I am not aware of any formal complaint submitted for the chair's consideration that lacks the formal indication of it being a complaint. Moreover, our rules make it clear in Rule 7, Section 3, that the claim shall issue in appropriate order, sanction or remedy in writing. My email indicating the scheduling of the meeting regarding the petition would go forward was not an order, it wasn't a remedy, and it was not a sanction. It was complying with Rule 3 of our party rules. When a petition is submitted, signed by more than 15 signatories representing more than 5 counties, 61 people, the chair shall move to schedule a meeting within 10 days. And folks, that's exactly what I did. I did not want this petition in my lap, and I have stated that. We had other things to do. Excuse me, what?
Point of clarification. Nobody in this committee is disputing. You acted exactly as you should have within the rest of the call. That is not being disputed. I just want to make sure that's clear.
So, the chair did move to schedule a meeting within 10 days. That was done in response to a petition, not as a response to Mr. Clark's email. I got to say about Mr. Clark. Now, on this appeal, which doesn't mention Mr. Clark's complaint because it's not put on the forms and these emails as complaints, let us move on. Section 1, right here, in our rules. The Idaho Republican State Central Committee, Section 1. Republican State Central Committee shall be the governing body of the Idaho Republican Party. What the RNC is not really what's at issue here. I can read the rules from the RNC. You all should have already read the rules from the RNC. I've read our own rules dozens of times. Let me stay to my notes so I don't deviate. I don't want to burn my 20 minutes up. The State Republican Party shall exercise supervisory and judicial oversight of all region executive committees, region central committees, county central committees, legislative district central committees, and any other affiliated clubs or groups denominated in the rules. Section 3, the judicial power of the State Republican Party shall be exercised in the following ways. A, any party or parties aggrieved. In fact, by golly, I don't think the complainants or the appellants are aggrieved. I don't know where the standing is coming from. Any party or parties aggrieved by any violation of state, region, county, or legislative district rules or bylaws, or by a violation of any Idaho state election law, may file a complaint with the state chairman. B, the state chairman shall investigate the complaint. Oops, I still hasn't said complaint on top of these. I'm waiting for it to materialize. The state chairman shall investigate the complaint and give opportunity to the affected parties to be heard. The state chairman shall rule on the complaint within 60 days of filing and shall issue an appropriate order, sanction, or remedy, and such shall be in writing. And finally, D, any party aggrieved by a decision which I have not made, as the state chairman may appeal such decision to the Judicial Committee of the State Republican Party with 30 days of issuance of the decision. The vice chairman's call for a meeting of the Judiciary Committee under this provision is out of order. Section 3D allows such a meeting to be called only after a complaint has been filed. Again, that never happened. Section 3A, which allowed for the investigation, Section 3B, followed by a decision of the chair, and Section 3C, the events described in Sections A, B, and C have not yet occurred. I only called for a special meeting as the Article 1, Section 3 of the State Party Rules require me to do. To be absolutely clear, I received a valid request for a special meeting, which has been scheduled to occur during our coming winter meeting. I made no decisions as to the merits of the reason for the special meeting, as the rules do not grant me that ability. Because I have made no substantive decision, there is nothing to appeal. Even if the procedures for appealing had been followed, and they have not been, there is no appeal available to the Judiciary Committee to even consider. In September 2022, I received a petition from 61 members, counting 20 counties, calling for a special meeting of the State Central Committee. Article 1, Section 3 of our State Party Rules, and I'm going to repeat it again. Upon written petition of 15 or more members of the Republican State Central Committee representing not less than 5 counties, asking for a special meeting of the Republican State Central Committee, it shall be the duty of the state chairman within 10 days from receipt of said petition to issue a call for a special meeting of the Republican State Central Committee. I did not write the petition. I did not circulate the petition. I was busy taking over the office as chair of the Republican Party. And shame on everybody implying that I did. That is not an issue I wanted to go after at all. I was too busy trying to get Republicans elected. Consistent with these requirements, on September 26th, I issued a call for a special meeting to be held December 3rd. Oh goodness, that's today. Please note that the state party rules do not grant the chairman any latitude in deciding whether a meeting should be called or not, or to prejudge the subject matter of the meeting in any way. The rules clearly state that the chairman shall issue a call for a special meeting within 10 days of a petition, again, for not less than 15 members representing less than 5 counties. So on October 9th, I received an appeal. And actually, now this one does say appeal of the chair on the top, okay? So I received the appeal of my compliance with the party rules in calling for a special meeting. Simply put, this appeal was out of order as no appealable decision has yet been rendered. I have simply called for a meeting in accordance with the state party rules upon receipt of a qualified petition. Our party rules do not contemplate the appeal for a call of a special meeting. That said, the appeal did not note the inconvenience of attending the special meeting in December. Sensitive to our members' convenience and acting within our party rules, I rescheduled the special meeting to be contemporaneous with our upcoming winter meeting. It's funny, this sure was a good date for this meeting though, wasn't it? I had to drive 5 miles around, which I couldn't care less. I would have been here to plead this case because this is wrong what you are doing. There is not a credible complaint, appeal, or anything. On November 10th, you may have received a notification of Idaho Republican Party Judicial Committee meeting from our Vice Chairman, Silver. In that notice, Mr. Silver cites Article 12 of our state party rules, which say, now regarding Mr. Silver's representations regarding the, okay, I'm sorry, which states, I'm sorry, I am going with the discussion of the RNC. Okay, so let's talk about this RNC. Now, regarding Mr. Silver's representations regarding the RNC, I contacted the RNC to confirm the accuracy of Mr. Silver's earlier assertions that the RNC gave a clear statement that RNC rules prohibited the removal of Idaho's national committee man. My correspondence with the RNC indicated that Mr. Silver's earlier representations were untrue. In all of his correspondence to everybody that you all received, he kept saying Republican leadership. Now, when I hear leadership, I think that the chair has been immediately, Ron McDaniel was immediately contacted. That was not the case. I have an email on my phone, or a text with Ronna, that says, we have an issue here in Idaho. This is me asking a week ago, Friday. We have an issue here in Idaho. We have an executive committee member who keeps touting that he has an opinion from the RNC stating that what is happening with a national committee man we cannot do. They knew nothing about your inquiry. Where are you gathering me? Okay.
You got official statements from the RNC Rules Committee. They're sent out to this. They're sent out to the entire committee. Their written statement back to us on October 9th. So to assert that this committee did not receive that.
Can you ask me this during questions so I can finish my comments? Please, thank you. The RNC said they, and so I talked, so now we have the legal team and the chair of the Republican Party pulling resources from the race in Georgia to deal with little old Idaho. We are the ones who determine what happens in the Idaho GOP. It is not the RNC. We elect the people, and if they're not serving whatever is decided by, let me get back here, Article 1, Section 1, the Republican State Central Committee shall be the governing body of the Idaho Republican Party. They are the ones who dictate what happens in our executive committee and everything else that we do, not the RNC. So, back to that. The RNC chair indicated that no one at the RNC had issued an opinion to Mr. Silver from the legal team despite his claims to the contrary. In fact, it was Mr. Look at my notes. Anyhow, Mr. Mike Reed, who is the head of the legal team, he's never heard anything about Idaho. So Ron McDaniel, as a week ago Friday, Ron McDaniel and the head of the legal team knew nothing about what was going on here in Idaho. You know, I could get an opinion from another chairwoman or chairman in the RNC or a national committee man or committee woman, and everybody's going to have a different slant on it. And I think that's what some of this was here. Also, his reading of the RNC's email statement is not correct. The RNC rules do not contemplate removal of the national committee man, nor do they bar such an action. The RNC says state party rules control here, and in the absence of any clear state procedural rules, Robert's Rules of Order would control. So we already knew all this. I did not contact the RNC to verify what we should already know. I called them to verify whether you actually received an opinion from the chairwoman and the RNC legal team, and you did not. Let me break that down again. There is no RNC rule that governs, and there is also no RNC rule that prohibits. In the absence of an RNC rule, our state rules apply. The RNC says that in the absence of a state rule, Robert's Rules of Order apply. Here we have no state rule, so Robert's Rule of Order apply. It is simply not true, however, as Mr. Silver maintains, that the RNC said the removal of a national committee man is prohibited. Well, I disagree. So, I guess that's going to answer, that is my response to the appellants. Again, it is disheartening that we have a complaint that isn't a complaint. We have an appeal by people who really don't have standing. I think it's the national committee man who has standing. You have some very good friends. They sure are rallying behind you. However, this is not, this should not be their appeal. Okay, great. If it is the question, so again, from one of Mr. Trent's, his email, like the big I gotcha, and a private email to him. Oh man, do I have a lot of papers back here? And a private email to him. Do you mean that? Good, I'm getting close. I actually took this little 20. I should ask for more. As far as, well, anyway, I've got the gist of it. What he said, I said. Let's talk about why I retracted it. I retracted it because it was a private email. It was misconstrued by so many people sending around emails that I thought, well, we'll just pull it and the State Central Committee is going to make a decision one way or the other. Because you've got to quit twisting people's words. Amen. When it comes down to a decision of the Central State Committee, not only, when you look at the petition, you guys kept saying, and at the top of it says, to determine whether Idaho's National Committee man's position is vacant. Just, is it vacant? Or, alternatively, whether Idaho's National Committee man should be removed. You guys, somebody kept saying, should be removed, shall be removed. No one's ever brought up just to determine if it is vacant. The State Central Committee has every right to hear evidence on both sides. And if you are so adamant that all this evidence is malicious, gossipy, innuendo, false,
you have 10 seconds,
then take it to the State Central Committee if your case is so good. If this evidence isn't true, then take it to the State Central Committee. Thank you for your time.
comment from the crowd.
There is 5 minutes of rebuttal, optional rebuttal.
I'll try to be quick. First of all, the statement that the chair received lots of emails from me. In preparation for today, I simply went to my computer and I downloaded everything sent by my email to Chair Moon. It constitutes 3 emails, all on this issue. So I have to say that's a lie. Secondly, the question of whether I would label it a complaint. Think. You don't start by labeling something a complaint. The first question was, under what authority are you stalking our National Committeeman's kids? Okay? That's the first question.
Oh my God!
My God! Boo!
Everybody stop.
You don't have no.
Everybody stop.
You have no standing.
That was the first question. Under what authority?
Trent.
I'm just explaining that is not going to be labeled a complaint.
Stop. Somebody had a point of order.
Do I have a right to rebut or not?
One second. Your time is paused. Somebody had to say a point of order.
Mr. Chairman, using words like stalking, which is a crime, like lying, which is an attack on the chairman's character, I believe are inappropriate, and I would ask that the complaint be directed to proceed in order and not attack personally.
Mr. Chair, I was accused of sending her lots of emails. Did everybody hear that? I was accused of sending her lots of emails. Okay. I found 3. Okay. So I'm saying what was said was not truthful. Okay, whatever you want to call it. Second of all, asking where my kids had gone when I sent them to Virginia, whether they were enrolled in schools, how long they intended to be there, I would call that stalking my kids. That's what
No, objection.
This is it.
Stop it.
Okay.
Come on.
Stop. Everybody please stop. Mr. Clark.
I'm explaining why, to me, this is a serious issue.
I think we all understand that you think this is a serious issue. The question is it relevant, and under what rules were you challenged?
So the question that I was posed was, under what authority was this happening? She had many options that she could have answered. She could have said, Mr. Fuller was proceeding without my authority. And guess what? It isn't a complaint. I've asked her a question, she's responded and given me an answer that I would agree with. So why would I label that a complaint? It's not a complaint. It is only a complaint when she gives an answer that I don't agree with. And that didn't happen until the last set of correspondence back and forth with her. And it was very clear that I did not agree with her answer. So maybe I didn't use the word complaint, but there's no requirement that I label it a complaint. It's very clear. I asked for a ruling from the chair, and when I finally got a ruling from the chair, I disagreed with that ruling from the chair.
Anything else?
That's it.
Well done, everybody.
Hey, everybody! Does anybody here think the Boise Public Library should have an American flag? Well, they don't seem to think so, so you might let them know. I very politely suggested it. She said if I bring one, she'll put it up. But then I said, will you leave it up? She says, no, we'll take it down. So maybe the public library should have an American flag. I guess so, yeah, I don't know.
You know what they do have? They have tampons in the men's bathroom.
Hey, they don't have an American flag, but they got women's feminine products in the men's bathroom.
Oh, man. Gosh dang it.
Go home, Silver.